Thank you for coming to Godly Play online today. Let's start with our song as we get ready. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Today's story takes place in the desert. This is how we open it, by squeezing the toggles. So many important things happened to the people of God in the desert that we knew we needed to have a piece of the desert here in our classrooms and in our homes so we could remember these stories. Desert is a dangerous place. The wind blows and shifts the sand around, so people get lost. If you get lost in the desert, there's not a lot of food or water there. And without those, people can even die. People don't go into the desert unless they really have to. Here is Jerusalem, the city of David. Here is the temple of God in Jerusalem. Here are the rivers, the two great rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. Here is Haran. Here is Babylon. The people of God lived in Jerusalem and in the whole area around. Make Haran about here so we can see. This is where Jerusalem and all the people of God lived. But sometimes the people of God forgot who they were. Sometimes they hid from God or even worshiped other gods. There are also people in every time and place, people who come so close to God and God comes so close to them that they know what God wants them to say or do. These are called prophets. They show us the best ways. Prophets can be men, women, people of any gender. Prophets can be children. You might even be a prophet, for all we know. People of God built this city under King David, and then came King Solomon. King Solomon was one of those who forgot who he was and did not follow God's ways. The prophet Ahijah told King Solomon that the kingdom would be divided. Ahijah came with a cloak and ripped it into 12 pieces. 10 pieces were for what would be the northern kingdom, here where the capital city was Samaria, and 2 pieces for the southern kingdom, where the capital city was Jerusalem. And you know what? After King Solomon died, what Ahijah had prophesied came true, and the kingdom was divided. Some of the prophets wrote down their words. Others maybe had somebody write them down for them after they died. There are some prophets that we don't know what they said, like Elijah and Elisha. We have stories about them, but we don't have all their words. Here are some of the scrolls of the prophets that we do have. This is Jeremiah, Isaiah, Ezekiel, and this one is an interesting one. It has what's called the minor prophets on it, who wrote small books that could all fit on one scroll. Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah. So these are some of the names of what we call the minor prophets. Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Amos was one of those that we called a minor prophet, and he lived in the southern kingdom, but he was sent to preach to the people of the northern kingdom and to the rulers of the northern kingdom. Here's one of the things that Amos said that we wrote down and kept. I despise your feasts. I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harps. But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Now, Isaiah was one of the people who lived in Jerusalem. This is also a funny scroll. The scroll of the prophet Isaiah is really made up of the writings of 3 people. And we collected them together and called them Isaiah. The first Isaiah lived in Jerusalem and warned the people that the city would be destroyed. Remember how the Assyrians took to the northern kingdom. They took Samaria and they came right up to Jerusalem and wanted to take it, but then they left. Prophet Isaiah warned them that the city would fall, but they did not listen to him. Then the Babylonians came. They came up to Jerusalem and they did not go away, and they took it for themselves and broke down the walls and burnt the temple. Now, some people went into exile. The second writings of Isaiah that we have are here. He wrote in Babylon, helping the people to understand that Jerusalem is torn down. Jeremiah was one of those that was in Jerusalem at that time. He had a hard time there. It was really sad, and the people would not listen to what the prophet Jeremiah said. Eventually, he escaped and was able to be safe in Egypt, far away, even beyond where we tell the story. He went very far away to Egypt. Ezekiel was one of those who actually might have been one of the very first that was taken to Babylon. He wrote and told the people, at first he didn't have very much hope, but later he wrote them and told them about the hope that he had, that someday they would be able to go back home again. Ezekiel had what we call a vision, where he imagined and told people, what if there's a huge pile, a valley of dry bones? These dry bones all came together and had flesh on them and became alive human beings again and walked home. The people were in exile and wrote these prophecies while they were in exile. And then, when they were not in exile anymore, when some of them went home again, the prophets had to speak to the people too. The prophet Isaiah helped the people come to realize that they would be living here for a long time and it would be their home again, but that they would not have a king. Well, I wonder what your favorite thing about the prophets is. I wonder what is the most important thing about the prophets. I wonder if you know any prophets or if any prophets know you. And I wonder if the prophets in the Bible are all the prophets we really need. What do you think? Thank you for coming to Godly Play today. Put these things back. You can think about what kind of work you are going to do today. Maybe you will tell the story of the prophets. Maybe you will make some scrolls. Or work in any number of other ways. You could work with art materials or do some writing about what seems important to you. I don't know what you'll do with your work time. Only you know. Thank you for coming. We'll end with a goodbye song. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the love of God surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.